Welcome to GOLT Talk, your podcast for technology and innovation in the legal profession. If you're searching for solutions to revolutionize your legal practice, you're in the right place. 10 minutes pure, actionable product insights from CEOs shaping the future of legal technology. And here is your host, Tom Pfennig.
Hi everybody, welcome to GOLT Talk, your podcast for innovation and technology in the legal and compliance profession. It is my distinct pleasure and privilege to talk to Simon Hill, CEO of Xperate, UK-based company just outside London. And with that, over to you, Simon. Welcome to the GOLT Talk.
Tom, I'm delighted to be here. Fantastic. I've been looking forward to this.
Same here. And we had a bit of a pre-chat, which really helped me understand the Xperate business model. And it is a unique opportunity to introduce the company, which is not a traditional legal tech provider. You're building the tech, but you are not an off-the-shelf company. So we are going to dive a little bit deeper into your value proposition on our episode today. But before we do that, maybe a few words of introduction on your end, Simon.
Yeah, sure, Tom. So briefly, we set up Xperate back in September 2021. There were two of us, Mark Garnish and myself, as the co-founders. We've known each other now, I think, I'm just looking back, 35 years we've worked together. And what we really did is we were looking around at the time. We've done what you described in your introduction. In the past, we had a business called Ticket, and we actually sold applications to large law globally and mid-market law firms. But this time round, we decided that we'd like to do something different and provide development and consultancy services to both law firms and legal tech vendors and the wider tech community, on the basis that we felt there was a real gap in the market for companies when they were looking to offshore development, how they could go about it. If they were SMEs. And the market's there, obviously, if you want to use somebody like Infosys, they're a great offshore development company. But the challenge with an Infosys is that really they're looking at development projects beyond any of the legal tech vendors or law firms in the world. That's really how we set up the business. There were two of us in September 2021. Well, today there are just over 140 of us in 5 locations. So we've got the office that I'm speaking to you now from. That's Winchester, just outside London in the UK. We've got locations in Montreal for North America, Copenhagen for Europe or the EU. We've got Pune, which is our largest office in India, just outside Mumbai. And we've also got Melbourne in Australia.
Really global presence.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what we've really done in the last 3 years.
That's amazing. And let's go a little bit deeper to explain a little bit what the way of deploying the Xperate services would look like, please.
Well, we operate a hybrid model. So we're talking the Western world today. You could be a potential client and we would be assessing really what you were looking to do. You could be a law firm, a legal tech vendor, and you've got some challenges around development. That could be you've got an exciting project coming up, but you don't really have the development resources to do that. So you're looking at it and seeing that the cost of doing it in the West is extremely high. So you could be a US legal tech vendor and developers are roughly going to cost you $200,000 a year. So you're wondering how you can do it. You'd like to offshore, but you've heard all the horror stories. And what we're really about is bringing your ideas to life. So we're chatting about it today in the West, but our developers and leadership team in Pune fully understand that the legal process, different dependencies in different jurisdictions, and simplistic things like terminology, attorneys, lawyers, fee earners, GCs, they would understand what those definitions really actually mean, which is half the battle with development. I mean, people who've tried to offshore struggle with actually speccing out what they'd like done, and many organizations have given up. But like we're talking today, we've got this hybrid model, access to some of the best developers in the world. At the same time, we work in this hybrid model where we can chat like we are today. So that's the purpose of the offices outside India, is to act in that way to filter information back, what people are looking to do, act as a liaison point, and actually really be able to help. We've developed legal tech. We've provided legal tech for the largest law firm in the world to smaller law firms of only 20 odd people. So we kind of understand ourselves what it's like to develop stuff. So we can also bring that experience, personal experience. We've been through an offshore process in our last business. So hopefully we can empathize and we can come up with some ideas for people, but actually bring those ideas, most importantly, bring those ideas to life.
Perfect. So just to summarize on the first two questions, which are in the GOLT Talk, the unique selling point and the use cases. So what I hear, and this is really unique, in our prior episodes, we did not cover that space yet. It's really a bespoke solution architect, as well as building the house based upon that architecture, all under one roof.
You've got it in one, and we also do a lot of integration work. So on your first point, you could be a law firm in Berlin or London or Copenhagen or Paris. You'd like an application written for you because you feel it would give you a commercial advantage over your competitors. We can do that. At the same time, you may be struggling with integrating everything into your firm. So your onboarding system is different from your financial system, and the two systems don't really talk to each other. So we have a lot of expertise in integrating the legal tech stack, both between vendors and for a law firm direct. So we offer those services too. We believe we're unique in that.
Right. That brings me to the second pair of questions, uniqueness / competitors that make solutions not unique, but competitive, and also partners. So can you talk about both angles, please?
Sure. I mean, we don't really operate partners in the sense of selling any of our development services through those partners. It really doesn't work, but I would describe it that we are partners with legal tech companies where we'll carry out implementation work, and those vendors, we won't sell their software, but we support them in the implementation process. We provide consultancy services, and what they particularly like about us is we're completely neutral. There's no competitive tension, and we can actually help with bespoke development projects to help them win that client when they require integrations. At the same time, the law firm may be saying, we love this application from a vendor in wherever it is, but at the end of the day, we wish it could do this for our medical negligence team. Therefore, we'd like to buy the solution. We'd like Xperate to implement it, do all the data work, bring data across from their existing solutions. But at the same time, could Xperate actually develop a system for the medical negligence team? And off we go.
Are there any known brands where you could disclose such a partnership?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's really on our website. Advanced Group in the UK, who are one of I think they're the third largest UK software business, have a legal tech division where they're certified development and integration partner. So we're effectively certified to work on their solutions, integrations into their solutions, and also provide consultancy services to their user base. Basically, we do all the implementation work, or a lot of the implementation work for Action Step, but we do that globally. I believe we're the only global partner for Action Step, who are doing very well in the PMS space globally now.
What is PMS?
Practice management systems.
For law firms.
Yeah, so financials, type reporting, workflow. We also are a partner of Clio, NetDocuments, iManage, wide range and diverse portfolio of implementation services. But I think, again, the unique selling point for us is that we have a development arm that can provide this bespoke work and this integration work and this data work that makes us quite unique. And that's a facilitator for the vendors, helping them to win business, and our reputation on the implementation side.
On the competitor side, I could envision, given that you said consultancy services, that the typical consulting firms are competing with you.
To a certain extent, but again what we're really doing, we have experts in the type of solution. So take the UK conveyancing market for a moment. We have experts who can assist on a wide range of systems in best practice for, say, remortgaging work, just standard sale and purchase, domestic conveyancing. So take an example, our sort of director of special projects, Murray, he was CIO at one of the UK's leading conveyancing firms. So he has extensive knowledge of the sort of conveyancing world. He's highly sought after by both legal tech companies and law firms. So I think that's where we're, again, different. So if you've got an existing solution and you really want to fine tune it, that's where our consultants can come in. You probably already exhausted going to potentially your own supplier or people that you might know, and you've realized that Xperate are the only people to be able to provide that service. So an example, I'm going to a law firm tomorrow in the southeast of England who are really ramping up from a conveyancing point of view, but they want us to help and advise them about how they're going to do that.
Can you just explain conveyancing for a minute?
Yeah, sure. That's property transactions, domestic property transactions that are handled by lawyers in the UK, real estate in the United States.
Okay, clear. Now, shifting to the last couple of questions are implementation time and cost. And I think it's an interesting question also to the viewers, because at the end it's a hybrid, we learned, but it's also kind of a make solution. You're not buying off the shelf. So you most likely expect also a bit of a price advantage. Perhaps you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Sure. I think the best way of putting it, I mean, we're very transparent on our consulting pricing. We think we're very competitive for the type of managing consultants that we have and the level they're at and the level of esteem they're held within the various sort of jurisdictions. We charge £950 a day, and that's then just translated into euros, dollars, Australian dollars, Canadian dollars. On the development side, we're very competitive. So in a way, we have fixed prices for the different grades of developer. We're very transparent with that. But if I put it in context, you're probably going to be paying at least half what you'd be paying for a developer in the US of an equivalent level of ability. So people generally in the past have looked at India and said, cheaper, but not as good. I think a lot of our clients would say, one of the CEOs of one of our clients, File Trail, headquartered out of Austin in the United States. He did a very good article for us in just saying it's a no-brainer, because actually not only are they cheaper, but they're better. And you have none of the HR issue, onboarding costs. And actually, one of his big comments early on was the fact that you don't actually have to educate your developers, which is a high overhead for legal tech vendors. And it can take 6 months to a year for a developer to really become embedded in a legal tech vendor, whereas we could start a project typically in 30 to 60 days with people who already understand what you're doing and can start coding immediately as a result of that.
Right. Let's be in the final minute of our podcast very concrete on one or two actual products that you built in the legal and or compliance space, and what would be the cost?
We might do an integration, and that's not going to cost people more than £20,000. Integration between two applications. Down the other end, a major legal tech vendor wants us to provide a serious number of developers to take their application forward. In those, we're talking 6-figure sums over a year, maybe even a 7-figure sum. It just really it depends on the scale of that project.
And I think that this shows the spectrum of clients that you're serving. It could be a small scale law firm, but it could be a multinational complex enterprise, and both spectrum parts would be served.
And that's it. So, I'd look at it like that. It's rather like we do a lot of work, which is great for us, where somebody just wants us to do 10 days of work for them, or there's a very specific thing they'd like us to do in tweaking something that they're using within the firm, and we'd only charge maybe £5,000 for that. Down the other end, people are looking at 10 plus developers for 2 years. You can see that's on a whole different scale. And why I'm slightly evasive about it is simply confidentiality and trust is fundamental to what we do. So everybody who joins has to read and go through our ethics document. So we will never overtly replace a vendor's software for our own gain. We just work with vendors. If the vendor has won a site, for example, we will then help them with the implementation and maybe some bespoke development work. At the same time, we will work with vendors to develop their software, but we will focus on them, on what works for them, rather than giving away any trade secrets, any other sector or part of the legal tech stack. So that's really fundamental to what we do, and there's a high degree of trust, and that's really why I have to give you that wide range, because probably 2/3 of the people that we work with are in the shadows. They'd rather we remained in the background, which is perfectly fine. But other people, like FileTrail, are very happy to do case studies or quotes. And if people are interested, they can go onto our website. There's a multitude of quotes there, from legal tech vendors who are startups to some of the biggest legal tech vendors in the world.
Very good closing. We dedicated a little bit more time than usual on the Xperate service portfolio, but I think we served the purpose of the GOLT Talk extremely well, being insightful, being educational. I learned a lot. I'm sure the audience learned a lot. A very unique value proposition of Xperate. Thank you, Simon, CEO of the company, for spending the time with us today. Wishing you all the best. Take care.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.